Good morning. Happy Sunday. How's everybody doing today? Today is the day that the sun rose, and the sun is at 15 degrees of Leo. The sun in Leo, first of all, the sun is home in Leo. The sun is the governing star of Leo. And if you pay attention to the sun and what the sun does and how it functions, you will notice that it does the same thing every day. It never stops doing what it's doing. It continues to, whatever it does, right? It continues to bring light. It creates the gravitational pull. It keeps everything in its order. The sun is our earth realm's heart. Our solar systems is the heart, and the heart is our own sun. It's the center of our reality. The heart pumps. It's been pumping since you were like, I remember when I was pregnant and I went to get my first pregnancy exam, and maybe I was 3 weeks pregnant, and they could already see the light, that electrical thing, that whoom, 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 that's the heart. And that is active early in your development and it never stops. The heart beats and it never stops beating until you leave this planet, right? Until you leave this dimension. So that heart that we have is the same as the heart that's in our solar system. Good morning. How y'all doing this morning? So the sun today is at the 15th degree of Leo, and the 15th degree is resistance. And so and the moon is in Sagittarius today. So we have this fire energy. So when we have these fire energies, like the sun is in fire and the moon is in fire and Sagittarius, we know that change is happening. Fire means transformation. Fire means creativity. Fire means it's going to go from one state into the next. So I know this morning when I woke up, I was feeling, like I said, Leo governs the heart. Leo governs our childlike energy, our inner child energy, our creativity. And one of the things that comes up for me when we're in the Leo energy and Cancer energy, all the energies from Aries to Virgo are the inner world. They're what's going on inside of you. And what goes on inside of you then comes to the external, as above, so below. So the inside, and then so below, the external. So we're in this new cycle where we've been being given the tools and the resources or the energy to reorganize our childhood patterns. And this is really hard work. Let me say, this is not the easiest thing. For me, it's not. Now, maybe it's easy for some people, but it's different for everyone. And so I noticed yesterday I was on the phone with somebody in my family. Girl, you gotta love these family members. They be giving it to us. These family members be showing up with the fucking medicine and the fucking poison, because it is in our family where we get the information and the tools about what we need to heal, what needs to be transmuted. And the thing that's so important at this time on the planet is to know that healing is the only thing that's happening. And when I say on the planet, the earth is evolving, the planets are evolving. There's an evolutionary cycle that's happening right now, that's happening to the earth. And because we are on the earth, we are a part of this evolutionary cycle. The earth is a completely living being. And the sun has also been doing all these solar flares. And so when the solar flares come, those flares bring more light to our system. And when we begin to experience more light, the light highlights the darkness, the shadow, where we are in patterns that are outdated. So like I said yesterday, I was talking to a family member of mine, and this is somebody who, when I was very young, they were my everything. They were almost like a mother to me. And I learned as I became mature that this person is, I experienced them as really manipulative and cunning, and they have Mars in Capricorn. So that's all if you're an astrologer, if somebody has Mars in Capricorn, it's no joke, right? It's because that Capricorn control and force is a very interesting thing. And then Mars gives them the force and the control. And so they said something to me that when they said it, I felt it like bing. I was like, oh, like it was a passive aggressive attack is what it was. It was a passive aggressive attack. But they did it in a really smiley way. And I was like, oh, so I felt it. I realized that they weren't being honest because they were showing me one face, but saying something else. And then I just sort of realized like, okay, so I just was with it. I got myself off the phone without having it turn into an argument or me defending myself or attacking them back or anything like that. And then I just went in and asked myself, where am I passive aggressive? Where am I not willing to be with the truth of how I feel about something or someone? Where am I creating passive aggression? And because when something can show up in my reality, it has to be that I need to see it from within myself. Yes. And so I just sat with it, and then I woke up this morning with it too. And historically, I would go in my mind and start having all these conversations and all this, that's why they're this and that. And I literally was like, we're not going to do none of that. We're not going to do any of that. We're going to actually just be with your passive aggression and how where is it? And so I'm just with it right now. And so the sun is at the 15th degree of Leo, and the 15th degree is resistance. And resistance is where you are going in a certain direction, but then you meet a bump in the road. You meet an obstacle, right? So I have met this obstacle, which is passive aggression. And so I'm going to just witness it today. That's it. I'm not going to make myself wrong. I'm not going to make the person who showed it to me wrong. I'm going to literally witness it, love myself, be playful, do my best to really just lighten up and realize that I don't have to manipulate anything or anyone to get my needs met. It's just not how it has to be. I can ask for what I want, or I can get it in another way, but I don't have to be sneaky or cunning or slick. I don't have to. It's a choice. I can if I want to, but that's not what I have to do. And so that alone, bringing that into the fire energy of Sagittarius and Leo will transform that energy if I'm just willing to be with it. If I'm willing to love myself enough to know that I don't have to be passive aggressive, that all my needs are met. I don't have to try and trick people out of what I need. I don't have to manipulate to get my needs met. I can be clear and concise. I can be true with myself. I can be in integrity with who I am. I can literally, because in the environment that I grew up in my childhood, that wasn't the case. In my childhood, I had to manipulate to get what I needed. I had to lie. I had to force. I had to do those things. But now I'm a grown-ass woman who can take care of herself. And I don't have to do none of that shit anymore. I can be in my integrity with who I am. I can surrender to the God power within me, because that is the creative force of the universe inside of me. And the interesting thing is that as soon as I asked to see the passive aggression, I saw it immediately. I was on a call this morning with a girlfriend of mine who's not a black woman, she's a white woman, and I could feel the energy in me that I could feel the energy in me that didn't feel safe, that didn't want to surrender into her conversation, into her dialogue because of my narrative around race. I could feel the part of me that was resisting. I could feel it. And I literally was just like, you can just watch it. Just watch what it is that comes up. And do your best to be in your integrity. So I didn't say anything to her, but I said it to myself. I knew what was going on with me. I knew that I was actually in a space of identifying patterns that are anchored in my childhood behavior that are showing up now. How do I know it's showing up now? Because the sun is in Leo. The sun is in Leo, and that brings up the child stuff, the ego, the Leo wants to shine. It wants to be the best. It wants to have, right? So because the sun is in Leo, I understand what's coming through me and how I can best navigate it. And with the moon in Sagittarius, and the moon in Sagittarius is also, it's fire, but it's asking, to see yourself in a new way. What's your vision? How do you want to be with this? What is the best way? What would actually serve you and everyone involved? What's the highest choice to take? Oh, you guys. Oh, happy birthday. It's so important. We're living through a time right now in America. It's going on the planet, but really in America, in the West, where we are being asked to mature ourselves. And one of the things that I see in myself that I get reflected back is so much immaturity, like grown-ups who behave like children, including myself, like grown-ups who are selfish in a way that this is what I mean. That they're not aware of their own motivation, that they're not aware of why they are doing what they're doing. They're not aware of where their choices come from, what's motivating them. They're blind to their own motivations, and that keeps us fucking immature. Because if you don't know what's motivating you, what's your why, then you're at the effect of something that isn't you. Okay, you can. The Jupiter class. It's in my. I'll send you the link. So yes, if you aren't clear about your motivations, why you're doing what you're doing, why do you want what you want, why are you thinking what you're thinking, why are you saying, then you're at the effect of something external, or you're at the effect of your subconscious or something of that sort, right? And so this is how we get to mature ourselves, by taking full responsibility for what motivates us. Some of us are motivated by competition. Some of us are motivated by scarcity and lack and abandonment. Some of us are motivated by not having enough. We're motivated by fear. We're motivated by our shame. We're motivated by things that keep us out of our true integrity. And until you can go into yourself and take responsibility for what is motivating you and ask yourself the deeper questions, you won't be able to create the life that you can only create through your awareness and your integrity with yourself. You have to be true to what's going on with you. You have to tell yourself the truth about what is motivating you. And in that's how we alchemize it, by telling ourselves the truth about it. By saying that, oh, I'm afraid right now, and that's why I'm doing this. I feel ashamed right now, and that's why. That is healing. That is the healing power, to alchemize and be in integrity with what's really going on without judging yourself. Without judging yourself. It's totally okay. It's so important to know that we are coming out of the dark ages, you all. We're coming out of the dark ages. We're coming out of the human cesspool. We're coming out of that. And so as you come out of it, it's filled with things that are undesirable, things that don't look good, things that are painful. It's filled with that. But you can't get away from it until you actually say, oh, this is my shame, and take it off. You cannot just, you have to look at it. Oh, this is my shame. This is my unworthiness. And it's not mine. It's not yours, right? It's just a part of the experience. You don't have to own it. You just identify it. This is shame. This is unworthiness. This is doubt. This is fear. That's it. And then you watch it go away, because in your identifying it, you bring light to it. And because we're in the dark ages, there's a lot of it to go around. So much of it to go around. And the only way we will transmute it is by freeing ourselves from the judgment that it is undesirable, that it's wrong, that it's not supposed to be. There's no other way to do it. There is no other way to do it. Let me say it again, just in case y'all didn't hear me. There is no other way to do it except to identify it and allow yourself to be with it and let it go. Now, the thing that I love for me is that I have created countless courses that allow us to do this in the most intimate and deep ways through our own healing. Like, I love that. I'm so grateful. When I was in school and I was like, I'm going to go to school to be a therapist and learn how to, and when I went, I was like, oh, this stuff doesn't heal. These old modalities don't work. They create more shame. And then the universe sent me astrology. It's neutral. Astrology is neutral. That's what I love about it the most. It's like, oh, everybody has everything. You have varying degrees of it. Not everybody has the same amount of it, but everyone has varying degrees of all things. So if we all have it, if we all have shame and we all have guilt, or, we all experience shame and guilt and sexual shadow, we all experience it, right? Because we all experience it, we can be with our ability to transmute it, because no one is without it. No one is without it. We all have it to varying degrees. So for me, I have a tremendous experience with sexual shame. Why? Because my mother was a prostitute and my father was a pimp, and my grandmother is the product of rape. So all of that shame coming through of like, this is right and this is wrong, and all that sexual shame, it showed up in my reality. It showed up here. So I'm doing the work to transmute it, because it showed up here, and I could have just denied it, but then it would have been projected to my child. So it was like, oh, let me handle this so my child won't be responsible for it. Yes, observe your white women negative feelings. Absolutely observe them. And then see how you can relate to them. See how you can relate. Like when I think about white women, I'm aware of the part of me that, oh gosh, what do I want to say out loud, right? Like, people protect white women. They do. They protect white women. They're like, oh, like before all this Karen shit started happening, white women were like the damsels in distress, right? And black men have a way of running to white women's protection. It's really fascinating, right? And white women have a real way of being like damsels in distress, and everybody comes. So there was a part of me that was jealous of that, like, because I don't know how to be a damsel in distress. I don't. Like, I know everybody has everything, but I have a very small percentage of damsel in distress. I do not, I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to be like, oh, help, and oh, like, I don't know how to give my power to a man and just let him, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do it. So there's a part of me that envies white women because they have this capacity and this ability to be, for lack of a better word, vulnerable, or really to appear vulnerable and helpless in a way that I just don't. And so what I see is people run to help them, and I'm like, oh, but even in my consciousness and in my past lives, I don't have the thing as an adult woman that people want to rescue. I just don't have it. I don't, right? So I'm aware of that in my experience with white women and how they do. And I'm like, okay, I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to be what I would call weak. I don't know how to do it. I don't. And I'm just with that. White women tears. It's not always genuine distress. They've been treacherous. Grown women, absolutely. I don't know either. It resonates with you. Yeah. And I don't. So I'm just aware of that. I'm aware of that. And one of the things I used to do was go watch 12 Years a Slave, because to help me understand white women. Because I don't know if you guys have watched that movie. I've watched it a dozen times. For all sorts of reasons. It's a fucking genius ass film. But there is a dynamic between a white woman and her husband and a black woman in this film. And the white woman, what I see is that, like, she literally, like, they give her the rules of what it is to be good, right? You have to be a Christian. You have to be this. And she's doing all of that. And her husband still doesn't want her. So she's angry at the woman that he wants. Because she's doing all the things. She's doing what he told her to do, and he's still fucking the slave. Okay? He's still, because it's not about the things that, it's really about the shadow. Like, it really is about the power. And like, from that movie, I really saw that the dynamic between white men and white women is about power. It's not about love. It's not about connection and community. It's about power. And so because they don't really have real power, there has to be manipulation and fear that comes in order for people to give them their power. And so it's just learning how the dynamic works. And as I saw it, I was like, oh, I'm really clear now. Our very DNA knows the false narrative of their manipulation. Our inner knowing is not confused. Absolutely. Absolutely. And so they have no power, unfortunately. Her husband doesn't desire her, so she desires the sexes of the book. Yes, that's right. So it's all really this very deep, shadowy stuff, right? It's all very shadowy stuff. And it's important for us to do our own shadow work so that we can transmute the ways we participated and bought in and buy. So you understand what I'm saying? It's like we have to see how we participated. So for me, this was my experience why I voted for Trump, right? Which was the hardest thing in my life to do. It happened in a split second. It was hard for me to really live with. But once I got clear about the choice the Spirit had asked me to make, that I made, was that I needed to face my fear of white people. And a part of my fear was anchored in the political system. because as a child, I was always studying these political dynamics between black and white people, because that's what we were told as black people. You got to vote, you got to do this, and we marched for it, we fought for it, we died for it. So that has been in my system. And so the first time when I voted for him, it actually freed me. It was the most profound experience, you guys. I'm in the voting booth and I was going to vote for the Green Party, and I heard Spirit say, vote for Trump. And I literally was like, and I voted for everything else. And then I came back, and in the very last instant, I pushed the knob for Trump. And then I got my card out, gave it to the people, and ran home and came home. And then the next day, when the whole country went into this interesting depression, I was propelled into this state of ecstasy. It was profound, right? I was like, oh my God. Like, everyone was sad and heavy, and I was in this state of ecstasy because I met my match. I faced my fear, and I was able to look. It was almost as if I was like, I'm going to look this white experience right in its face and determine that there is nothing for me to shrink back from. There's nothing that can happen, because I had all these stories of being threatened and damaged and harmed by white people. So for me to face the beast actually is what transmuted and healed me. It was amazing. It was amazing. And now I don't have any of it going on anymore. Like, I literally feel no threat from the government. I just am like that. I'm over it. I'm done with it. It doesn't have any power in my life anymore. And it was like a get out of jail quick experience. So we all have to face it in the ways that we do, black people and white people, because what it's important for us to understand is that whiteness is a made up construct. And in this country, we've shut off our hearts. We've shut off our capacity to love and be true to our own nature, because we bought into the system of patriarchy and whiteness and capitalism that is a vampiric system that just extracts power from everything that it comes in contact with. And we've all been participating in it. That's the thing. Everyone is participating in it. We're not victims of it because we've been indoctrinated into the system. We don't actually understand how we're participating in it, and we are. White people definitely need to heal. The focus is often on the trauma of African people, but and they will heal when they're ready, and they'll do it on their own times. It's our healing. Their healing is not our business, right? Their healing is not our business. They can heal. Like, that's how if they want to come and work with me, absolutely, because I'm all about healing for everyone. But I'm not going to teach them or seek them out to help them heal unless it's here, and anyone who wants to heal can do the work. But it's not my responsibility to do any of that. That's not what I'm here for. And yeah, so with that, everyone, use this energy today at the level of resistance to look at the shadow and just see what can be transmuted. Like, where are you resisting and how that can be burned. And maybe you do some, write some statements down and then burn them. All right, you all. The Jupiter class, for those of you who want to register, you can register in my link tree. It starts on Thursday. This class is going to be so good, you guys. Because here's the thing that is important for us to understand. We have to begin to shift our identities from our old ways into our new focus. And when I was 30 something, like when you're in your 30s and 40s, you don't know what you can't see. You really don't. But now that I have really been in a conscious 12-year cycle, I see how 12 years ago, I set an intention, not really knowing how to work it out, but now I'm here 12 years later and it worked. And that's Jupiter in Aries. Jupiter is your faith, your vision. And you have to code it. You have to create the codes for it. And that's what this class is about. creating the codes for your true identity, for you to be who you're really here to be. And we're never going to have this astrology again in our lifetimes. That's the thing. Neptune will never be in Pisces again in our lifetime. That's fucking amazing. It's fucking amazing. So we have energy here that is present that we'll never have again. So you guys can join in my link tree, and I love you. Peace and blessings. Bye.